Welcome to the latest episode of our podcast, Play, Learn, Lead ECE Voices of NL. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Sonia. And this month, we're going to talk about family connections with our guest, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a level 4 ECE with a Bachelor of Arts in ECE. Worked in a variety of positions across the field over the years. I've done nanny care, family child care, uh, in center care. I've been administrator, and I've done instruction at instructing ECEs in the college.
Oh, excellent. So you have a wide range of roles that we can kind of draw from today, which is awesome. I heard like family care and nanny. Those really require you to have those strong family connections. So I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from you today. Um, I want to kind of jump in and talk a little bit about how important it is to start a relationship with families with building trust and open communication. How how have you in your various roles um how have you fostered that trust and built those connections?
I've had, particularly in family childcare, lots of because it is so close knit, lots of families reaching out with lots of questions, especially early on, and it's taking the time to answer them. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
answer all of the questions, make sure they know, if you're not sure, ask me, reassuring them when things are, this is going to be hard. When you say goodbye, he is going to cry, but you're probably
Mhm.
going to cry more, and he's gonna learn
hmm
how to trust me, and he's gonna learn that you trust me because you've left him with me.
hmm
Yeah. I always try and with new families, I always try and explain to them how important it is for their child to feel that I have a trusting relationship with the family
hmm
Yeah.
because that's going to really solidify that trust with the child and the caregiver in the early childhood environment. Um yeah, but also thinking about not just the importance of them understanding what we're doing every day, but the continuity of care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you've got your questionnaires that you give them to fill out.
Mhm.
Another thing I like to do both as an administrator and in family childcare is have the parents in and talk to them, go over the parent handbook in detail so that you're making sure they understand as you go through it. Going through those questions, saying, we're going to get you to answer these. It's to help us get to know your child and what
Yeah.
things are like in your home so we can keep things as similar as possible during that transition.
What are some examples of questions that you've seen or you've put on questionnaires for families? Just to really, I mean, it might seem really simple to you, but just any ideas that you can give us because it could be something that a center just hasn't thought about in the past.
One that's pretty simple that I think goes a long way is just asking who the members of their family are, who are the people that are
Mhm.
around them, what do they call them, what's their relationship with,
Right.
hmm
what kinds of things do they like to do with them. It's really simple, but then it gives you that opportunity to say, oh, I hear you like to go out on the truck with Poppy. Where do you go
Right,
on the
right.
hmm
truck?
Yeah.
hmm
And when we think about all those activities that they do with those various family members, um, and a lot of times, like family is different for everybody, like it doesn't have to be blood.
No.
A lot of people these days, like I know my own nieces and nephews have aunts who are more family to them than I am because of more like proximity and the relationship that they have with the parents. So respecting that as well,
Yeah. So like I
right?
said, it's not just family members, it's who's gonna be around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's important to them?
Yeah. And I mean, right down to their pets. We get
Yeah.
into that
Yeah.
too.
Oh, how many times do we hear them talking about pets and we don't know who the pets are? We think that they're cousins or siblings that we just don't know about. And like it's very valid that it's very helpful to have that information because then we can really engage with them more as
Yeah.
well. Um so I mentioned continuity of care. So that's basically, just for our viewers having similar expectations, I guess you could say, in the home and in the childcare setting. And I think that I know for myself, I feel it's really important to foster that.
Mhm.
And how is a way without making families feel judged? Because sometimes families aren't sure if they're doing the right thing by their child. And if we ask in a certain way, we might not get full information, but we want to make sure that they don't feel they're going to be judged. How would you approach that?
Normally I just kinda come and I say, what are some things that you do to soothe your child when they're upset to help them feel
Right.
comfortable? And because everybody's gonna have something different they do there, and that's a good starting point where people typically aren't going to feel judged.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
Because
then
empathy,
from
right? You
there,
never.
when they give you a this we like to sit down and read this specific story. Sometimes you could say, "Oh, that's a great idea. I should try that with some
Yeah.
of the other children when they start." And that validates them, helps them feel that
Right.
Mhm.
we've made some good choices. Um,
Yeah.
and even just kind of making suggestions of different things when they have questions and concerns, but also, telling them, I want to know what his nap time routine is like so we can try and keep it as close to that while he starts here until he gets comfortable. It
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
they need to understand that we're there to help the family, not just the child.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so that takes a lot on our part to make sure that we're careful of what we say and how we say it.
Yeah, and in regards to being careful of what we say and how we say it, I'm thinking of like the age-old question when if you have a family who does timeout and they ask you, well, why don't you do timeout? Or can you give my child timeout? How would you suggest we answer those questions or broach that subject without bringing any type of judgment in, without me damaging that trusting relationship that we've built?
I think educating the family is the way, but in a gentle way, of course, just say,
Yeah.
Mhm.
here's why we don't do it here. Here's what we find works better. Um, a lot of families do still find time out works at home, but in general, this tends to be a better approach, and they might ask more questions about it so that maybe they'll make the shift at home. But the important thing is giving them the information so they can make the choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And really made my mind think about how much what we learn as early childhood educators can be brought into play within, all the other aspects of our job with administrators, with coworkers, with families.
Mhm.
Because you mention, not just saying this is why we don't do it, but bringing alternate solutions, alternate suggestions. And I think that's the key, right? It's like, I'm just going to give you this solution that works for us. If you want to try it, that's fine. But if not, if it's working for you, then, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Just, I think with the children, choice. is so important, and I think it's the same with all humans.
Yeah.
I use a lot of the skills we learned as ECEs for working with children in teaching
Yeah,
adults to
I
be
yeah.
ECEs. You know, it is transferable. There's on same thing as going from working with infants to working with after schoolers. It's just a shift
right.
in how you apply it. It's the same principles.
Yeah, the cognitive ability of understanding and our emotional development as well, right? It's just that little step by step, but it's all very similar. The fundamentals are there.
Yeah.
Um, so we did touch a little bit on family structure. Um, how important do you feel it is to have an understanding of family backgrounds, like the structure of the family and cultural background? And how can we find out more about that with families?
So, I think it's extremely important because how can we support the child and the family where they are if we don't know where that is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it also helps the children to understand that, yeah, every family is different, even if they look similar from the outside.
Hmm.
And, again, back to that welcome questionnaire, in
Yeah.
several of the places where I've worked, one of the questions is, are there any special holidays that you celebrate? Is there a particular culture that you cultural celebration that you take part in? Getting that kind of we want to celebrate you and your child while they're
Yeah.
here kind of opens the door to start the conversation. And then even with your registration forms, as simple as not putting mother father.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The inclusivity in that aspect as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that opens up the understanding and the possibility that the parents could be mother and mother, father and father, grandfather, uh,
Yeah.
legal guardian. So if we just change that language up to be more accepting of different possibilities. At one program, I had a digital form set up. Actually, a couple of programs I've done this, a digital form for the registration, and it just said parent slash guardian. And
Hmm.
they had to add one, but they had the option then to add as many as they wanted after that. Because we are
Right.
in a time now where you're
Mm.
looking at even polyamorous families where there's going to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
more than just two parents, or even split households where you're going to have more than two parents because you have new spouses on either side of that split.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just not restricting,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Allowing for that inclusivity and that um all those different nuances and the backgrounds
yeah.
and everything.
And I mean, all of
Um
these family types existed before. It's just
yeah,
now we know more about how prominent it actually is.
Actually
So
is,
we
yeah.
yeah.
need to shift our way of communicating.
Yeah, and I think we've been very um sheltered, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the past few years, like you've seen a lot more um different family structures more prominent, like you said,
Yeah.
and also more different cultures represented in our communities, right? So it's really important, like the the social justice stream has been so big for so long, but really, how much have we really seen here in on the island?
Yeah. And I
And
mean,
so
even to, you go from St. John's in the metro area and you're seeing a lot more of it. But even within the metro area, there's certain parts of it that you're, again, a bit secluded like you would be in a smaller
yes,
community, and you're not
Yeah.
yeah,
seeing it because everybody looks the same and everybody's that nuclear family. Um,
yeah,
but it is spreading. You are starting to see a bit more of it even in the smaller communities where people are gaining understanding, so people are
Yeah.
comfortable coming forward with being who they are, which is, of course, what we wanna see.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's been being taught for years, but now it's really time for us to really start putting it into practice, right? It's been harder because we just haven't had those experiences, but now we really do. We can kind of almost have to pull our socks up now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? um Thinking about all the different backgrounds of families, family structure and cultures, I want to focus a little bit on all the gifts and strengths that families can bring to our early learning environments. And the fact that they're valuable resources for us and for the children and their learning experience. What are some ways that you've involved families in the past?
Some ways have been, one program where I worked, they had a regular annual lemonade stand where parents would come in and some would volunteer to help out, and some would just come visit during the day of the lemonade stand, bring other family members and friends,
Mhm.
and the children would come out to the stand while their people were there and just have that interaction between children and staff and family and friends.
Right.
Yeah, also we've had, just bringing in favorite storybooks. Um,
Mhm.
Not so much the focus on going out and finding a book that's all about one specific holiday, but what's your favorite
Right.
book as a family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
What's special and important to them?
it could be related to their cultural differences, but it might just be a favorite story of theirs, and then that is part of that
Right.
family's culture is why that's a favorite story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my house, there was a couple of those storybooks with my children. We had The Crunch and Munchin Caterpillar that we used to have to read every single night, and my daughter used to call it The Crunch and Munchin Caterpillar. And, we had another one, Hiding, that I could almost recite to you now. We read it so many times, but it was this little boy hiding, from his family, and through the pictures of the book, you could just see a little bit of him in each page, and the parents pretending to look for him, and just those things were really special to us, and we still
Right.
hold that memory close.
Yeah, and I think I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of the child whose family is sharing those special moments and how prideful they would be and how proud to share that with their friends
Yeah.
and to even be like, "Oh, my mommy was at daycare," or "My nanny was at daycare," like
Mhm.
it's just so special to them. And then all those other children are going to see how happy and excited that child was. And they're like, "Mommy, can you come to my daycare?" You
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's like,
And I think through involving one will involve many.
well, I was it you who was in the room with me years ago when we had discovered that we had a lot of musically inclined parents? And maybe it was just before.
Yeah, I don't believe
Um,
that was me.
okay. But yeah, we had discovered that we had quite a few parents that were uh that played different musical instruments. And so we asked if anybody would want to come and like demonstrate for the children. And I think out of the 16 families, we had about 5 or 6, which was pretty good. But yeah, like the children were just so proud that like, oh, my mummy came or my auntie came, and
Yeah.
you guys got to see, she plays guitar for me all the time, and I can't believe she got to play for all my friends and all that stuff. And it's just a really special moment that they just get to show. their family to their friends, because typically they just kind of see each other's guardians, maybe a sibling if they have one. But I mean, like, I
Mm.
currently have a room with, I think, almost everybody except for two have siblings. And outside of the ones that also are in the daycare in a different room, we don't typically see them. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that the children
Mm.
talk about their siblings, you wouldn't even know they had any. So just having that time to, like, for others to come in and spend time is always really exciting.
Yeah.
We've done to have children bring in pictures of their families
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then just, build that conversation into large group time of, oh, tell me about your family.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
can tell you something about what they're seeing in the picture, or they can tell you the strangest story you've ever heard because that's real. That's what they do
Yeah.
sometimes. But either way, they're so proud and excited to get to say,
Hmm.
this is my family.
Yes.
Yeah. And not just bringing in a picture,
Mm.
throughout the year at some point, but in our center, most all of the children have a family picture in their locker,
Hmm.
you
Um,
know?
the last center I was working at, a lot of them would have that, but also they regularly asked as part of the welcome package to bring in a couple of pictures from the family. And they would
Yeah.
have photo albums in the story corner that had pictures
Oh, I
from
love
all
that.
of the children's
Oh,
families. And they would flip through them and say, oh, that's uh, my friend's brother, or that's my friend's dog, and
Right.
that's really
I love
neat.
that.
or that's my baby
Or
sister.
yeah, no, I love that
Yeah.
idea.
But yeah, it was all together. Yeah, it wasn't my idea,
No,
but it's a
it's a
great one
great
to share.
one.
So
But that's what it's all about, it doesn't matter whose idea it was,
no,
it's
It's
just
a
it's a
great
great
one.
idea,
yeah.
and we can all learn from each other, that seems like such a simple thing,
And
but
even
it's
with
actually
that,
nothing I've ever
Yeah.
thought about before.
yeah, but even
We've
with
done,
that,
like, the
they
bristle board with all the
Yeah,
families,
like,
but not a photo
no.
album, I like
yeah,
that.
well, and like I said, even with that photo album being there all the time, they still liked when we were like, "Hey, everybody's really talking about their families. Let's do a display with that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the ECs in the center went and got a world map to put up on the wall and little star stickers to put where anybody involved with the center, like any of the children or the staff, had visited.
Yeah.
And
Oh, okay.
put up a display, had parents and families send in pictures of the families on vacation in different places, and did up a display where they all looked like they were little Polaroids all around the wall around the map.
That is so
Wow.
cool.
That's really cool.
ECEs are
Yeah.
so
They
creative.
are.
Right? Um, but yeah, going back again to that continuity of care, it is so important. Um, but not just having those conversations with the families about, what are you doing at home so that we can try the same things, or them asking us, what are you doing at daycare so that we can try the same things, but really creating that partnership,
Hmm.
right? It's not just about that trusting relationship, but bringing them in as partners.
Yeah, I find just being open to conversation goes a long way
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a few minutes at pick up and drop off, if you can just kind of, oh, he did this really funny thing today, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. And
Hmm.
um, oh, it was so funny when he said this. Did something happen at home that brought that up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know where it
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah.
And it just gets everyone talking. And
Hmm.
like I said, the continuity care comes from there because then we can say, oh, he said this, and this is what we did, but we can't figure out where that came from. And then the parents can have the conversation with you and say, oh, I know where that came from. It was from
Yeah.
when we went to his cousin's house on the weekend. and then you get that back and forth, you get the full story of what happened
Mhm.
and how they reacted to it, and then they get your reaction, and it's just it builds together to come up with
Yeah.
how you're
Yeah.
gonna work around things.
Yeah.
When I worked as administrator, lots of times I would, when the parents would come in, if the children were outside and they were coming into their cubby to get their stuff before picking them up, I would, come out and say hello and tell them about something that happened during their child's day, and it would spark a conversation, and they usually had a couple of stories to tell me then based on that.
Yeah. Um, Kind of off topic a little bit, but we've been talking about pictures, and my brain has been going to pictures in the childcare environment. Pictures of, documentation of learning. And I know that it's it's kind of a question in our field of how important it is for those pictures to be naturally occurring in play. But would you feel that there's a place for like posed pictures? How do you
Personally, I'm not much for the posed pictures.
know?
I like just getting a snapshot of what they're
Mhm.
doing in the middle of doing it. Now, if
Yeah,
they've worked really hard on creating
Mhm.
this giant
that's where my
tour
brain is.
or
Yeah.
the bridge and they want to be like, "Please take a picture of me," and they're
Yeah.
excited to show it off, yes, I would take that posed picture, but I would also have a string of pictures that I took while they were in the process of making it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
having that
Yeah.
array of pictures to show the parents, whether you post it on the wall in the classroom or you put it in a newsletter or just put a few of the pictures on your parent board, uh,
Mhm.
just to be able to share that little bit. And you see then the connection they get to have with their children at pickup and drop off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what were you doing here? And then the child tells the full story of how they got from point A to point B.
Because how often is it that, the children will notice that you're taking pictures and they've done something they're so proud of? Can you take a picture of me for my mommy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how do you say no to that? Because that's going to make their mom or their dad or any family member that you
Mhm.
send it to feel so special that they really wanted to share this with me in the midst of their busy play day
yeah,
and their learning. So I think there is value in it, but at the same time we do have to be very cautious, especially with the process, like you said, to try and make that as natural as possible.
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, Sticky topics. I'm looking into when we have a family going through a difficult time, death, separation, divorce, anything like that. How What are some ways that you've supported families through that?
Um, Sometimes just being as simple as, I heard what happened. I'm sorry for your loss. Or, I know you're going through a bit of a rough time right now. Um, Please know that your child is welcome here, even if, you feel like you should be picking them up early. They're where they're used to being, they're in their regular routine. This is good for them.
Right.
And that gives you time to look after yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, giving them that validation and that the permission to
Yeah.
take care of themselves.
Because
So important.
parenting comes with so much guilt. Um,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like mom guilt, dad guilt, it's real. And we forget that it is okay to send our child to daycare for the day and stay home and cry because we lost a loved
Mhm.
one and do
Yeah.
nothing else or sleep all day because we're feeling down,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because our relationship is falling apart. The important thing is to remember that the child is still getting what they need from the childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They feel as normal as possible by being there, and
Yeah.
that gives the parent time to look after themselves.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I've actually never heard. it spoken that way. And I love that because it is so important that we give them that we empower them to care for themselves and allow us to, help pick up the slack a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If they're feeling less than, because we know they are,
yeah,
if you're going through a really hard time like that, you're mourning the loss of a relationship or a loved one, you're feeling that you're not able to function as well as you should, or you think you should.
Yeah.
But being being there for them and allowing them to realize, okay, this person loves my child. This person is protecting my child, keeping my child safe emotionally and physically. And by giving myself that time, I'm giving it back to my child as well. Because
Yeah.
if they take care of themselves, they're going to have more strength to fully be there for the child. Because children often can't express exactly
No.
how things are affecting them.
But we can bring things into our program that help the child understand and express and understand what their
mhm,
parent is going
Mhm.
through without putting that added pressure on the parent who's dealing with
Yeah,
their own emotions
yeah,
and then not sure how to talk to their child. So we can have those conversations.
yeah,
And then let the parent know what those conversations were and how the child took it so that the parent can
yeah,
take a little bit of peace and know if they need to
yeah.
continue the conversation or if they're able to just step back and go, okay,
yeah,
Mhm.
she gets it. We're going to
I
carry on. I'm going to get myself back on
yeah,
track.
Yeah.
actually semi recently had an experience like that with one of the children in my room that spontaneously just burst into tears. And, I called her over and asked what was wrong. And she's 4.5 ish now. Um, but her grandmother had died the year before. And at that time, didn't have a grasp of what that meant. But in the last month, had really started to understand what it meant and
Yeah.
was really struggling with it. And really, because of that, struggling being separated from her family because she was scared that them being gone for a certain amount of time meant that that was happening to them as well. And um, it was it was pretty like she was struggling, and so in my
Well, it's a
panic,
lot to
yes,
process.
Mhm.
and so I kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of panicked because I would say I've been in the field for almost 9 years, and this was the um, first time that I had been thrown into like a conversation with the child, where the child wanted to talk about it and had an understanding of what was happening. And so I, just flew by the seat of my pants, and I just talked about my experience because I had also lost my grandpa. I mean, it was years ago, but like I understand like it's like the feelings and missing somebody, and how special it is to have that picture by your bed that you get to look at and give it hugs, and how it's not the same, but it's you know um we still miss them. It doesn't make the hurt go away, but it's still some can bring a smile and sometimes tears when you look at these pictures. And this went on for like 20 minutes, I think. And so afterwards, I sent a message to the parents, and I was like, is there a good time? Because we use a communication app, And so I just was like, just want to let you know there was a little situation involving this. If you would like, we could have a phone call chat just to let you know what was said, just so that you have an understanding. Uh, because she is one that would talk about our conversation at like wouldn't even get out of the
Yeah.
parking lot. Um,
And we don't wanna catch the families off guard with
no,
that, and we
No.
wanna make sure that they know that anything we're talking about with their child, it's gonna be shared, unless there's a reason not to, of
yes,
course,
Mhm.
but that we're there to help and
hmm
support the child and the family.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, they shared that they for yeah like the last month was a real it was really hitting home for her, and you know it was oh my gosh my brain. And then sometimes it's like they ask like, do you have any recommendations on resources that we can use for her and her sister, um or regarding this, or regarding like this other side situation that was happening. And like that was just another way to build that relationship with those parents,
Mhm.
even when I was like, you know what, I don't know, but I can guarantee you I can find some. So give me some
And
time.
even being kind of proactive in that, in going to the parent and saying, "I have some resources if you'd like me
Hmm.
to share them," or, "I have access to some resources. You want me to go and track some down for you," instead of waiting for them to come to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. And sometimes just having samples of those resources regularly out on your parent board,
Mm.
or on like a display of pamphlets that anyone can take what they want at any time, or on your Facebook page or your website, whatever you use for your mass kind of
Hmm.
communication, so that parents don't necessarily feel they have to come ask for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because again, like we talked about with the way parents feel judged, they might feel, even wrongly probably,
Yeah.
but they might feel that if I come forward and I say I have this problem, they're going to judge me.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
we have the resources available to them in ways that they don't have to ask for them.
Yeah.
They're not going to.
And I think, like, in our digital age, there's so many ways to do that because I know that in considering this topic, Taylor and I had discussed the thought of what if we just had a QR code linking them to one website, specific to our center, and just an index of
Yeah,
all the possible things that someone could need. But right now, my mind is going even further and thinking, what if we also had like an anonymous questionnaire? Or
yeah,
not even a questionnaire, but like an application. I'm struggling with this. Can you add this to your resources?
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? And then just a bounce back email could go to them and say, hey, it's been added.
Essentially, just a digital suggestion box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, really, we have all this technology at our fingertips. And I know like I absolutely loved working on when I was doing my diploma program, we had to do a resource binder. And we only had to get, I think, 30 resources, but I had over 100 because I couldn't narrow it down. I had like it was I think a 2 or 3 inch binder just of stuff. And all my like bibliotherapy books, I either found them on YouTube and created a QR code for the families to be able to just click the QR code and listen to the book being read to their child. But there were two books, I think, that I could not find a reading on YouTube, and I created
Right.
them myself. I was like, this book needs to be included. But it just how important that is. But also still having the availability of, the hard copies, because not everyone is super technologically savvy, even like mine or Taylor's
Yeah.
generation. We're not all into that yet
Well,
quite.
and
So,
in different financial
Yeah.
situations too, you have different
yes.
access to
Yeah,
technology.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, having digital and hard copy
Yeah.
goes a long way. And,
Yeah.
even just having those resources readily available all the time
Mhm.
does tend to make families feel more comfortable to come to you if there is something they need
Mhm.
help with,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they realize, oh, this is all out there, so they know that this is normal, and
Yes.
they have these supports to help us. So I need this specific extension on that. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go and I'm gonna talk to the staff and see what I can get to help
And
out.
how important it is, like you just used a very powerful word, how important it is to normalize
Yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
right? So important. But yeah, there's so much we can do to build those relationships and those connections with families. And I I mean, I'll be quite honest, I don't know a lot about family resource centers, but I'd like to know more because I know that they could be great community partners for us as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? But yeah, this has been such an informative conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah.
Thank you for
It's been
having me.
great. Yeah, it's been great. Um, Definitely going to look into family resource centers myself. I know because I I'm very guilty of not knowing much about them other than what I learned in the diploma program like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I that just popped in my head and I'm like, I think we could really benefit from utilizing them more for
Mhm.
sure.
They probably
Um,
already have a lot of these resource
Yeah.
files that we're wanting to fill.
exactly.
It's a really good starting point.
Wouldn't it be great to have like a provincial one, like what we mentioned? That would be awesome. Maybe it might be another little
Project?
project. Yes. Who
We like your
knows?
projects.
Might reach out to someone and be like, "Hey, can we start this up, Taylor?"
I was gonna suggest it afterwards to you, so there we go.
Anyway, it
Yes,
was great having you, Sarah. Thank you so, so much for joining us.
Anytime. Thanks again for having me.
bye.
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 So, through the conversation, there were some great ideas shared. And I know that for myself, I'll be doing some reflecting on how I can help families feel a better sense of belonging, especially in regards to partnering together for consistency in the child's care
Yeah.
and recognizing that the caregivers, they are the experts on the child that they care for.
Yes, absolutely.
And even though, we are professionals, so we're experts as well, we have to collaborate with the parents before we can collaborate with each other.
Mhm.
Because to get that information is going to give so much knowledge and a foundation, a basis behind what we do to support the child and the family. Um, but I know that one thing that really struck me was when Sarah gave the idea that of the family photo albums.
Mhm. Yes.
Like I had never ever ever heard of that or thought of that. Like we do have photos within the classroom,
Mhm.
sometimes we'll do like a bristle board display
Yes.
or throughout the year they'll have family photos on their lockers. But I've never thought of just having it out there for them to actually look at, like as a book, and share
Mhm.
their experiences with each other when they look, oh, look, that's my mommy, that's my nanny, that's my aunt, that's my mommy's friend, right?
Yeah.
And as simple of an idea as that is, it just strikes me that in my years in the field, never thought about it,
No.
never heard about it. And so, such a simple idea, I think, is going to be such a big change in my homeroom because I'm really strongly thinking about doing that in September with my new families when they come in. And I just think I wouldn't necessarily think to share that with colleagues because it's
Yeah.
such a simple idea.
Yeah. Like sometimes, like when you like ideas that seem simple, even if the impact is a large impact, it
Yeah.
just, well, it's just an easy idea. So,
Yeah.
mm,
It's not that you're trying to hide it from them or anything like that.
no,
It's just, think to share it. But I don't know. I think I'm going to be a bit more mindful now going forward that if I have like a revelation in my head or just a little pop-up idea in my brain, I'd be like, "Oh, hey, Taylor, have you ever tried this? Like I just thought about it." Cuz I wonder if it's like a human aspect, just being afraid that someone's going to say, "Oh yeah, I've done that."
or even, yeah, like the almost feel that little fear of rejection of in any way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when somebody goes, "Oh, I've already done that," can kind of feel a little
Mhm.
bit like a rejection.
Yeah.
Um, no, because I know for us, well, like for some families that I've had, like the children love sharing pictures of their family.
Mhm.
They love going, this is my dog, this is my cat, this is my big sister, they're my little sister, and Nanny and Poppy and all that stuff. But our locker doors are only so big.
Yep.
And so there's only so much they can put up. And so we'll have some children will come and just have them loose, but then they get sad because their pictures get
Mhm.
ripped or, excuse me, or they get lost. So
Talk about small ideas. We had a child who really needed their photos off of their locker one year. We laminated them.
yes. Yeah.
So, tiny idea, but something you wouldn't necessarily think about.
No. No.
And that really helped the child. And and like it was kind of like it was a comfort item.
Yeah.
So it was the same similar idea as showing empathy. It was teaching empathy to the other children because if the child left their little picture lying around somewhere, the
Mhm.
other children would pick it up and be like, "Hey, John, you left your picture in the book area."
Yeah.
Right? So they're showing empathy and it's just like a teddy bear to them
Yeah.
because they hold it tight. It
Yes.
comforts them. But I think it's so important and and it grows those connections faster for the children as well because like at pickup time, Taylor, your mommy's here
Yes.
because they recognize
Yeah.
from the photos. Like yes, they see the mommy pickup m- most days
Mhm.
potentially, but just to see that picture like all day long whenever they want to see it,
Mhm.
it gives that connection between the children as well.
But yes, so backtracking to what you said earlier when it comes to helping families feel a better sense of belonging and
Mhm.
partnering together for not only consistency in the child's care, but to build that trust with the families. Because
Yeah.
if you don't build the strong family connections with their caregivers,
Yep.
the children can feel that.
Yep.
They can feel that their caregiver is not comfortable leaving them behind.
Yep.
Even if there's, like, I've seen instances where without the parent there, the child is very comfortable. They have integrated themselves into
Mhm.
the environment, and they have their own trusting relationships with the ECEs in their room. But as soon as that caregiver comes, there's hesitancy from the
Yep.
child that isn't there all day, because it's almost like they feel like they're not allowed to feel relaxed,
Yeah.
because they can feel that mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandparent, guardian is nervous, is
Yep.
not trusting. And it's like,
Yep.
oh, well, am I not supposed to be feeling safe here because you don't feel safe here?
And just like a lot of things, there's a continuum of trust.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be the tiniest little thing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that that might need to be pinpointed, but might be very difficult to pinpoint because mom, dad, grandma, guardian, they
Mm-hmm.
might not even fully know what it is that's holding them back, that's giving them that hesitancy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But just when we talk about the importance of building trust, we're not saying, the parent absolutely doesn't trust us whatsoever.
No,
Just that there's
there's just
something
something that,
that's holding them back from fully accepting that care from us
yeah.
or
Well,
feeling that their child is absolutely loved and safe.
and I know, I've had some experience with children who were, their grandparents cared for the child before they came to daycare. Um, and there was some tenseness because mom and dad wanted their child in daycare to just for the social aspect and
Right.
all that, but Nanny and Poppy did not want him in daycare. They,
Mhm.
and not because they had any negative feelings towards childcare in general. They just loved having him.
Yeah.
They loved caring for him.
Yeah.
And they felt a sense of, I think they felt a sense of loss
Yeah.
not having them all day. And so the compromise was that the child comes for most of the day, comes early in
Right.
the morning, is there for like free play, morning snack, outdoor play, lunch, quiet time,
Yeah.
and then would come in around afternoon snack time, so
Mhm.
that Nanny and Poppy still got to have their daily time with the
Yeah.
child, but the child still got the social aspect of coming to daycare. But I feel like it took the child like a little bit to settle than what I had typically seen.
Yeah.
And I think just there was that feeling of that tenseness that they could feel from Nanny and Poppy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be another thing, like the parent had full trust, it
Mm-hmm.
seemed, but then we need to build that trust with all members of the community of care around the
Yeah.
child
Yeah.
that we interact with.
Yeah.
Um, and that takes a lot of communication and not just sharing stories of the child's day, but also gently bringing up the fact that, I noticed that sometimes it's a little hard for you to let Taylor go.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just wondering if there's anything we can do to help put your mind at ease
Mm-hmm.
or to help her settle in more. Like what is it that you do in your home to help her feel comfortable. Because the thing is, they might not be realizing it's their comfort level. They might think it's the child's comfort
Yeah.
level. So just giving them that power to share ideas,
Yeah.
right? To say, yeah, we do such and such to help her
Mhm.
feel really comfortable when she comes to our home. And we'll be like, oh, well, we can do that too. And just when there's that connection and an understanding, and then that shows them that you trust their judgment too,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's very important because a lot of miscommunication revolves around different perspectives,
Mhm.
right? So it's
Yeah.
not, we've got to be very careful not to be making assumptions
Yeah.
and just trying to use that empathy that we've learned and put ourselves in their shoes.
Mhm.
And I mean, we know so much about problem solving, and we don't just have to use that with the children.
No.
But just so much value in communication. And I love that, like, this segment of our podcast, the first couple months have been kind of more connected to framework goal 1,
Mhm.
well-being and belonging. But now we're really seeing that um move into communication, the need for
Yeah.
communication, clear communication. And it's so fitting now that next month we're going to be focusing on framework goal 2, which is communication. So
Yes.
we're starting to see those connections between all the pieces
Pieces. Yeah.
of our practice. And yeah, hopefully we'll have more people join in to the podcast to learn even more alongside of us.
No, I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited for the guests that we have lined up
Hmm.
for this one, and I think I'm going to learn a lot
Yeah.
in this one. I really think for this goal, I'm really excited.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.